Okay, I'm a few minutes early, and I don't have a thing for this. I didn't even think of it, a thing for this. How many? Okay, okay. So, where am I going in life? Over here through Discord. Okay, Miss Mud Dark. At Miss Mud. There. Oh, I know what's happening now. Okay. So, there's that. Where where else am I thinking of? I need a description. I do. I need a description for my YouTube. Any ideas on what to have? I need a new scrolling mouse. Okay. Oh, okay. 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 No. I know what's happening. Except for no, I don't. Okay. Okay. We are going to. Oh my God. I know what's happening. Where am I sharing my screen? Am I not sharing? Oh my God. I don't know what's happening. I thought I'm not live on Discord. Oh, I'm I don't have anything to do with Discord right now. Why am I on Discord? No one knows. I'm not on Discord. I was just looking for the stream on Discord. Okay. Now I know what's happening. I swear to God, I know what's happening. Hi, Miss Muddy. We're waiting for other people to show up, except for they're not showing up yet. I know what's happening. Okay. So now we're going to do this. No, we are definitely not doing that. Doing this. That's stupid. Do this. Okay, but that's stupid. This is kind of stupid. Oh my god, I gotta be on top of my wheelchair. Okay, hold on. Oh my god. Oh, okay. There. My oh, Miss Muddy, but then you can't see my background. Oh, this is devastating. Oh, I gotta find a place to hang Trump because they're his beautiful faces. You think people would get mad if they just had to look at Trump the whole time? I think Trump might get mad that people had to look at him the whole time. Just especially with my videos. Oh my God. I would have to put a warning. Trump has nothing to do with my videos. He's just awesome. I keep seeing like something, and there's nothing there, but okay. See? Okay. There's nothing. There's something on my computer or something. I don't know. Maybe I touched it one time. I took my medication. Did everybody take their medication? You know, that shit's important or something. Like, whatever. It's important for my seizures. I drink protein powder with my seizure medicine. It's supposed to be. Oh, yeah, we're not doing God. Right. We're doing Sarah Boone. Are the people here? Say hi in the chat. Oh, well, it's fine. They said they might show up, I think. So that's a good thing, probably. Somebody wanted to watch this Sarah Boone thing. So I hope that person shows up, right? I think it was Feather that I need to change to this because this is going to get on my fucking nerves. Okay. Okay. Because then I can sit like this and it looks like I'm watching it, right? Because I will be on this stream so I can see the chat. Oh my God. I'm not going to be able to see the chat. Oh, yes. Hey, I thought you were going to that place. Okay. Well, say hi if you're here. So we know who's here. And also, so I know who to say hi to, you know? Because I'll say hi to you individual. Yeah, I read your message. I don't know if you want people to know. I just know you were somewhere important. So, whatever. Okay, if you're here, say hi, because I'm about to start this. We're not doing Bible things, Nikki. Shut the fuck up. Get your tray. Because we're doing things. Everybody, it's late. I have to let you know. I have to talk over this. And I have to be on the side of it, and I have to talk over it, and I have to pause it. So, if you can't deal with that, I apologize, but I have to do it. I'm going to read the chat this way. Okay, Miss Muddy, what'd you say? I have to hear first. Am I? Okay. My mic should be plenty loud because I hear it on YouTube. I hear you, Ricky. I don't know, or I see you. Uh-huh. Okay. Here we go. Okay. That's the right way. Let's see if we can. Okay. So, is everybody here? Can we press play? Let me know if we're ready to press play because I'm ready to press play. This is Sarah Boone's closing argument. She killed her husband by leaving him in a suitcase. I don't know what happened. One, two, three. Pressing play.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Y'all know me, I'm James Owens, along with Tony Henderson and the girls. We're all from Milton. I think y'all figured that out, that we were from out of town. Santa Rosa County, it's northwest Florida, close to Pensacola. And my buddy Kevin Beck, he's a longtime friend, he's from New Mexico. The team, the defense team, is here, and we're here to represent Miss Sarah Boone. And we feel confident that we're going to be able to show you why she's not guilty. Okay? And I'm going to take my time. I've got some notes. I'm not the most organized person in the world. I've got some exhibits that we're going to show you. And then we got a couple of videos at the end. Okay? And we're going to try our best to help you make the right decision. Okay? But yeah, Milton's a small town.
Objection. Providence. Overruled.
See how small it is. 7 miles away is another small town called Pace.
Why are they objecting during closing arguments? That is really stupid. I mean, I guess not for this lady, but it's really stupid.
In between that is a Walmart. Very small town. We didn't know what to expect coming down here to Orlando.
Relevance.
Judge, I'm allowed to.
I'll give you a little bit more for intro, but then we need to get into it.
I'm going to get into it, but I wanted to say, it's a small town, good people. We've been down here 3 weeks. We didn't know what to expect. We've been surprised. From
Objection. Improper argument.
Mr. Owens, approach.
Husbands they take a lot of fucking patience, more than a kid. I completely understand, because I was having the same issue the other day, because technically Dustin and I aren't married, but we've been together 20 years. And it's like, you
Objections
don't
overruled.
know me by now.
all I wanted to say is just since we've been here, we've been treated with respect and hospitality, and just like we've been at home. We appreciate that. Now, I'm going to do some reading, and then I'm going to do some talking. But ultimately, this is about justifiable use of force. That is a legal defense in Florida. We as citizens, the law is designed to protect us from defending ourselves, to protect us from potential attack. And
Say hi if you're watching. Say hi if you're watching. There's people in chat ready to love on you like family. So we got cousins, we got really good friends. There's other people that are going to show up that'll love on you like family also. So feel free to chat.
you are the only ones, in this case, because Sarah Finn was arrested, that's going to be able to look at it critically and objectively. Objectively. Not like the state attorney.
Objection. Improper argument.
Overruled.
Objectively. And the law in Florida gives y'all the power and authority to do that. The state attorney can't make the decision. They can't make the decision. They can try to influence you. And we're going to talk about some of the things they did here in this trial. And some of the things they said.
Objection. Objection. Remove motion.
Yes.
This is stupid. Again, this is another slam dunk case.
You may proceed. Objections overruled.
Thank you, Judge. They got their side, their position, we've got our side. So we're going to talk about
Supposed to
that.
be here like
But,
that.
and we're going to talk about justifiable use of deadly force and
Maybe
non-deadly
this
force. But
does
either
that.
way, however you rule, it still justifies her behavior.
Oh, it
And
looks right.
the result is not good. Now, I don't believe there's anybody.
Objection. Improper argument.
Overruled.
Objection. Reproach.
Why? Look, there's no reason. There's no fucking reason. There's no absolute. This is stupider than the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial. They, oh my God, every 5 seconds was a, every 5 seconds was a sidebar. We need a sidebar counter, but I don't know how to do that. So this is the third one, right? Completely out of control. All those lawyers got to go up there for no reason because that prosecutor doesn't understand this is a slam dunk case. Like every other prosecutor The one earlier, this one, objecting during openings. That is a thing that they're not supposed to do. And if you're here, say hi in the chat. Don't be shy. We're family watching TV. Look at that show just man.
I think you will find from considering the evidence in this
Oh, I'm
case
supposed to be wearing my wig.
that
I forgot.
there is no doubt that Sarah Boone,
That other guy said he was going to be here and he didn't show up. And I think it literally was my son. Huh. My oldest son, like my 22-year-old.
is a victim. That Sarah Boone has been traumatized.
Sorry.
That Sarah Boone is still traumatized. And the reason for the trauma is George Torres.
What? Nobody even knows
The
who
reason
that
for the
is.
trauma is George Torres. From the positive things about the man that we've seen on video, to the positive things Sarah Boone has testified about, to the violent monster he becomes. And I mean monster, because it was repeatedly. And what happens the next day? Man, I don't remember. I was drunk. I don't remember. That's the gaslighting. That this young woman, vulnerable woman, with nobody, just starving for love, starving for attention, and seeing the good in the man. And it was good. But every day was on the back.
Yeah, it's the closing argument. It's not the trial. Actually, the next trial I want to watch is one that I did watch by myself. But you ladies are here, and I think it would be a really good one. It's the Shanda Vander Ark trial. She's from my home state, and she's completely fucked up. And I was gonna watch hers. What do you guys think? And yes, this is the suitcase trial.
Balance. She measured every day, depending on how it started and then how it ended. And that's the way she had to live her life. Day in and day out. Day in and day out. Dr. Harper and Dr. Brandon talked about trauma. Dr. Harper.
And Jasmine, I didn't even say hi to you. I didn't. And I totally apologize. But hello, my dear, my Nikki's angel. Welcome in.
Spoke of the veterans that she had treated for post-traumatic stress disorder. I don't know if you remember her testimony, but she spoke about some of the veterans that had been in the war in Iraq, you know, And
Real quick, this is the defense's closing argument. If you want to hear it from the beginning, I would go back to about 13 minutes. But we're like in a 25 minutes in. So watch it on 2 times speed. Or 1.5, I mean.
people in war a lot of times get post-traumatic stress. It used to be called shell shock and other things. But people in wartime, or police officers will get post-traumatic stress. And a lot of them come in, the males come in with this bravado, oh, I'm all right. I'm all right. And so that's why Dr. Harper was talking about the veterans. That's what they'll do. But you got to spend time with them. It just can't be one session. And you've got to run post-traumatic stress testing, which tells whether they really have post-traumatic stress. And we all probably have experienced some trauma. All of us have lost some loved ones. And it's awful. You're in shock. You can't believe it. It's disbelief. You don't sleep for days.
All right, Vander Ark is that. Vander Ark is next, but I don't remember who wanted to do this. Feather did, but I don't know. But I think it was Feather. Hi, cousin Nolly. Everybody, this is my cousin Nolly, and she is recovering from radiation. She is amazing. So give her some loving. She needs a whole lot of loving, like hugs. Give her hugs.
And eventually, you have to go back to work. You take a week off. Life has to go on. Life has to go on. You go back to work. Kids are in school. You get a little time. Right? Time heals. Right? These veterans that come back from a deployment, they get back, they get...
It's hard work. I'm just kidding. It's the easiest thing I've ever done in my life. Is be amazing. It's the only thing I'm good at. But it's okay. Oh, fuck yeah. Or hell yeah. I forgot about her babies. Son of a bitch. I am the worst friend ever. But she can go back to the beginning and watch it, right? She can. So she can hear me complaining about her not being here. I'm just kidding. I didn't complain about it. But I did notice it. I notice when you guys don't come in. I don't think people that come in notice that. I notice everyone that doesn't come in. Like, Ornan hasn't come in. The one that called him my son, I think it was my actual 22-year-old. He said he was coming back, so I don't know. But then he can meet some of his family from down here. So that'll be really cool. Because he knows my family up there. They always give him shit. They bribe him to know him. It's really funny. Okay. So we're going to go back to press and play. So let's enjoy this closing. I know you can't, cousin. Don't worry. I was just saying I notice. I try to know everybody that comes in here in some manner so everybody feels good. But I know eventually I'm not going to be able to do that. But you guys can show them love and care. You know, you guys are good at stuff. I trust you to do the best job ever. I love all of you.
Some semblance of
And it's easy for me to say that because I don't have very many people to love, and I have a whole lot of love to give. So, because a lot of people are very mean to me. So, this community means more to me than anybody knows. I'm just saying that. Not a lot of people are good to me.
normalcy. It may or may not get some treatment, but time helps. Time heals. Everybody, it helps. Just time. Overcoming a divorce, overcoming a death, whatever trauma. Sarah Boone had no break. No break. Learned helplessness. Just giving up. Just giving up. I can't get out of this situation. They broke up. She'd go about 2 days. She'd go about 2 days. Texting and calling. Just learned helplessness. And it's, in the manual. Battered spouse syndrome is not, but what did you hear Dr. Harper say? She suffers from post-traumatic stress. That is a mental disorder. You are actually undergoing the psychological effects of post-traumatic stress. You're not in your right mind. And it's repeating itself. It's repeating itself again and again, day in and day out. And when you look at this law, that's what you have to apply. Someone in Sarah Boone's shoes, when you're deciding whether her conduct was reasonable. Got a bunch of notes. That was something I wanted to read. Where'd that put it?
Ricky, if it wasn't for you and Mud Duck, my channel would not survive the first day because of that troll. So I totally appreciate you because that guy really did try to take down my channel. Like that was real life. And I appreciate you guys for that. You have no idea. He was actively trying to take down my channel. And he said as much on my channel. So I appreciate y'all.
Sarah Boone's long-term exposure to abuse created a state of learned helplessness and diminished her capacity to assess risk, especially in moments of heightened stress. The cyclical
Feather, you have to rewind back to the beginning. We're only 35 minutes into it. It's 35 minutes into it. If you watch it at 1.5 speed, it should be like 26 minutes. So, if you restart it, it won't be that long till you get back. Yeah, I thought I was literally on time this time. And I felt so bad. You'll see if you go back to the beginning, you'll see. But just know, I had to pause it and talk because this is Law and Cut and they will do stuff. I had to shorten the stream to keep their watermark off of it. So it's just the stream. He really did. But then he stuck around and he started to like it. And then now he just stays and is nice. So that's cool.
Nature
I'm pressing play.
of this violence, the tension building, the battering, the contrition phases, caused Sarah to be trapped psychologically in that relationship. Due to this clear abuse, Sarah Boone had a reasonable belief of imminent harm under her state of mind. George Torres had a history of violence against Sarah, and as a result, Sarah Boone's actions were the result of fear conditioned by abuse she endured over time. The cumulative effects of long-term abuse, as we saw her behavior on the 2-minute suitcase video, is a trauma response. Sarah Boone acted out of a sense of preservation.
Okay.
While tragic,
Hi, everybody who's watching. Don't forget to press like and subscribe and talk in the chat. There's moderators in there ready to give you hugs and loves. So you can come in and be a family member also. It'll be great. You can be one of the weird-ass black sheep.
was not driven by malice, but a mind ravaged by abuse. And I'm going to ask you to try to understand. Try to understand. Sarah Boone being emotionally and psychologically broken. His actions may have been misguided attempts at survival, but not murder. Imminent danger, her response reacted to that belief.
Hey, Feather. Welcome. And you can welcome the other people that are coming in. They'll come in if you encourage them and stuff. Anyway, hey, everybody. I love you.
It's somebody suffering from the long-term psychological effects of domestic violence. Who spent a lot of time? Dr. Brandon, you remember him. He was the first expert on trauma. Took some notes. Kevin Beck, you remember, did the direct examination of Dr. Brandon. He was from down in Miami, I think. He talked about the trauma, that you cannot escape from the abuse, so you develop coping skills to protect yourself, knowing that the bad things will happen to me. It changes your behavior, not only your behavior, but your thinking. your subjective thinking about fear and what to do. And if you remember, Dr. Brandon said it's all about that person's perception. Okay? A lot of times they will self-medicate with alcohol or drugs. A lot of times they suffer from anxiety. Basically, he said the trauma ends up being terror because you do not know what to expect.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
You do not know what is going to happen that night. It may be a great night. You may drink, and both of you have a great time. He falls asleep, passes out, you fall asleep, passes out. But it may turn depending on his mood. I don't know if you can tell, she would try to placate him. Dr. Brandon said, you know, when you're trying to evaluate somebody, it takes time to get them to trust you. And the ultimate goal, he said, is to be a behavioral detective. If you're a forensic psychologist, is to be a behavioral detective. And the ultimate goal is to put yourself in the abused person's eyes so you can better understand their world. But ultimately, it's their perception of danger.
I have been in similar situations. Now, Willie Nelson, I think it was his second or third wife, she sewed him up in a sheet and beat his ass with a skillet. Dustin's grandma tied this guy up in a sheet, I think. She tied him up in a sheet and beat his ass with a frying pan. I never thought of doing no shit like that. And I'm not sure how she got this live ass man to get in a suitcase if he don't trust this woman. I don't know what the fuck happened.
Their perception of danger is what you have to look at. What a reasonable person would do under their perception of danger. Now, I want to go on. Trauma experts explain how victims' reactions in moments of stress are the product of the damaged psyche. Her actions, although tragic, and it was a tragedy, George Torres lost his life in that suitcase. It's a reactionary response to sustained trauma. It's as if Sarah was acting out of a deeply ingrained fear and helplessness developed over the years. So it's a desperate need for survival, but battered women do things.
You should hear his story. Man, it's some interesting shit for sure. But his wife did beat him with a frying pan. Swear.
To keep the peace from time to time. And when they feel like they have a small portion of momentary power, they may enjoy that by vocalizing their position to the abuser. Sarah Boone's not perfect.
Woman abusers are not psychopaths. Woman abusers are men with low self-esteem. They don't have the capacity to be a psychopath. They have low self-esteem, low self-worth, and they get jealous of everybody they think is smarter than them. And they abuse them for being smarter than them, not being a psychopath. Pretty much being the lowest of the low human beings on the earth, and they can't handle themselves, so they take their anger with themselves out on somebody else who's calling them out on their insecurities and mistakes.
Sarah Boone would argue with him, talk down to him. Some would say was somewhat abusive to him. Sarah's not charged with that. Sarah Boone is not charged with that. And I want to read you something on that subject. If I can find it. Essentially,
Doesn't sound a psychopath. He's something else. ADHD with a hint of mania. And I'm a manic, what did they call me? A manic extrovert. Well, I'm an extrovert with manic episodes. And because I have brain injuries and I'm missing a third of my brain, I have seizures and other problems. I meant abusers, not just men. Women have the same problem. And women's self-worth issues are way more than a man's self-worth issues. And they get violent in different ways, except for sometimes. They get way too emotional is the problem with women. And men don't get emotional enough. They get violent before they would ever let you see them get emotional. It's fucking sick.
okay, I don't know where it's at, but I'm gonna have to come back.
I know. I know that also, that you love me. If anybody ever loved me in my life, it would be you. Oh, Red Feather. That is my cousin, Nolly. And Nolly, this is Red Feather. Yes, and women are good at the emotional abuse. And men try to do it, but they get extremely violent with words. And then when they get violent with words, they get violent with, uh, you know, fists and shit.
But essentially,
But we're supposed to be paying attention to what this guy is saying and talking shit. Ah.
what it said was,
Yeah, but men get violent before they get emotional. Women get emotional before they get violent. It's way different.
essentially what it said was eventually it's been a 2-week trial. I got a bunch of notes. I'm trying to get this right. I know it's important. What I wanted to say was someone can be mean and angry and hateful and intoxicated and still be abused. They're not mutually exclusive. And mutual abuse exists where one is abusive towards another. And eventually the
I don't know who an Oliver is. And quite frankly, not everybody is the same, but more men get violent before they get emotional, and more women get emotional before they get violent. Well, that's not every woman. Usually, before a woman throws a dish, she's emotional. And usually, before a man throws a fist, he will not cry. But some people are wired different, just like with everything else. Like with females, some female, like me, I don't know how to be fucking female. Look at me right now. I'm in a Get High t-shirt, a fucking robe, a ripped up pair of jeans, no socks. But other women that do these live streams, they're all makeup, professional looking. I don't know what the fuck is going on. But, it's like I'm totally different. But we're supposed to be watching this trial. Oh.
The victim, Sarah Boone, trying to fight back against the abuse, became verbally abusive. While the victim has committed verbal abuse, it is important to remember that they, Sarah Boone, are the victim and have been pulled into an extremely vicious cycle where they are trying to survive. Sarah Boone intentionally left George Torres in the suitcase. What's the act of a battered spouse syndrome woman? She went up to her room, she fell asleep or passed out. These actions are disconnected. Ultimately, she didn't let him out because of her fear that she knew if he got out in that moment, what he would do. That's real fear. That's real trauma that she was.
I'm not sure. Maybe it's different with me. Any man I've ever seen will hit somebody before they see them cry or get emotional. Well, even when they get emotional, but they hit people before they get to the crying point. They usually cry afterwards and then buy something nice. It's really fucking weird. But again, everybody's built different. But I'm telling you, most of the time, the men are killing people before they're crying.
Experiencing at that time.
Well, Feather, get ready. But we're supposed to be doing this. We're supposed to be watching this trial and talking about it. Now, none of us have no idea what this fucking guy said.
I talked to you about force being used, and I think I talked to you about blocking an attack using a physical restraint like the suitcase to block somebody's attack.
No, I'm sorry, but no. I don't know how that man got in the suitcase, but he was perfectly in there. And she took a video of that guy having a heart attack in the suitcase. Like zipped up and everything.
And the example I give, I got a couple of examples that may or may not apply. Let's say you're in a bar and you got your
I understand that, Nolly, and you're absolutely right. And you're absolutely right. And that's why men take it out on women. That's exactly what I'm saying. They will hit you before they show emotion. They that's that is the exact reason I said what I said. Because men can't show emotion, not even to their girlfriend. They'll kill their girlfriend first. Just because of this right here.
buddies and the other guy's got their buddies and they're drinking and it ends up being an argument between two of them. And you realize that these two are fixing to get in it. Well, one of your buddies comes around on the other side and grabs the guy before he's able to strike him, right? So you're committing an offense on this guy, but it's a restraint. It's a restraint where you grab him by the neck and try to get him out the bar. So yeah, you're committing an act, but it's designed to defend another, which is legal. Or let's say you have a situation where you have a police officer and he's on patrol. You know, he's in uniform, he's wearing a firearm, and of course he's got the bulletproof vest. And he goes to a call where there's a suspect that may be armed. A suspect that may be armed. And so he gets there, he gets out of the squad car, he's walking around. Of course, he's taking out his gun because he realizes he may be armed. And eventually he sees the suspect, and the suspect reaches for his waist. Now, in that moment in time, that officer has to make a decision.
Is he really, hold on, Red Feather, is he really comparing, putting him in the suit? Nobody even knows how he got in the suitcase in the first place. But him dying inside the suitcase, is he calling that self-defense? Because he beat her up one time. Is that really what's happening? Did I lose viewers?
Am I going home with
I
my family
did.
tonight?
Nolly, did you go away? That is also true. But Nolly, you're a dime a dozen, honey. Nobody would ever treat you bad because you're not a bad person. You've never been a bad person. You will never be a bad person. Not ever in your life. That's why I tell everybody to give you a hug. I tell everybody in here to give you a hug because you are the most beautifulest person on the planet. I've said that.
And I asked Dr. Werner about this Vaseline thing it's called fear response or fight or flight.
I'm sure at some point you were a secret psycho. You are related to us, but you've always been you. So, whatever.
You know, those decisions are made, it's instinctive based on your set of circumstances. She instinctively reacted to her unique set of circumstances
So does
to
she.
save her life
So does she.
or save herself from another.
She has the best husband in
One of
the entire world.
these. I'm 63. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine that.
I don't regret it. It's true. But anyway, you might have been a secret psycho at some point. I'm absolutely sure of that because you are family. But It is true. You are one of the best people on the planet.
Her father's not around. I need to talk about the case with you. And if you'll remember, I'll get back to it. If you'll remember, that's my place here today.
I believe that. Just kidding. Although it would
Let's start with the witnesses.
not
And then
surprise
I'll
me.
talk about Sam.
But I doubt it. She
But
doesn't
the
have a
first
moving
witness
phone.
out of the box for the
Did
state
you enjoy?
was Juan Torres.
Did you enjoy that psychopath conversation?
The brother. Remember that? It was some time ago. I know it's been a while. Y'all taking notes. You may have to go back. Their first witness was a good witness for us. Their first witness in their prosecution of Sarah Boone for murder was a good witness for us. Remember Tony Henderson with the cross-examiner of Juan Torres. Asked him, what did you hear Sarah Boone say? Juan Torres, she was yelling, he's been choking me. He's been choking me.
Okay,
Mr. Henderson said, did that surprise you?
because this guy is kind of boring. But also, I should be watching this on 1.5 speed. This said it was prosecution's closing.
Going on with it. She talked about, that Sarah uses her.
Uh, okay. Is it showing Court TV's logo? Yes, up there in the corner. Son of a biscuit. I'm not going to be able to do Court TV. Uh, five most shocking. Okay. Oh my God. Really? Sarah Boone's prosecution closing arguments. Okay. Okay. Does anybody have it? A state rebuttal. Okay. Well, I guess Why don't we do the rebuttal? Okay. What do we say? I don't know either, but I found the state's rebuttal. So, do we want to watch the state's rebuttal? I don't know what's happening either. Said he got in there. Yeah, right. I posted in Discord. Okay. Oh, it was the Court TV one, wasn't it? We can't watch that, I don't think. Discord. Right, but that's the Court TV one. Mhm. Okay, hold on. Table, verdict watch, crime, defense. Oh, look at those pretty fat hours. It's in the other one, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay, no copyright on the channel. Okay, so let's see. Okay. This is the state's opening statement. All right. Okay. So we'll do the state's opening. Oh my God. Hold on. Okay. The state's opening. Okay. 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 I am up for the rebuttal. Law Cook. But I guess we can do the opening statements. You're up for the rebuttal. What does everybody want to do? The rebuttal? Okay. Sarah Boone's prosecution closing arguments. Oh, look. Here we go. And it's on Fox.com. Okay. So we found it. We got. You didn't fuck anything up. You did not fuck anything up. I had to find it, but it turns out my computer read it wrong. But as soon as it read it right, it got it. There you go. Do not party poop. That's the one rule. Don't party poop. Nobody knows what the fuck is going on. So we got to figure it out as we go. We are wolf dressed like sheep. We are highly confused. We don't know what the fuck is going on. That's how we make it through life. So, are we ready to press play? We're going in 3, 2, 1. Roll tape.
This is a box. This is the box where George Torres was killed. It's a small box, 28 by 20
All right, how
by
about
8
2
and
minutes?
7/8 inches.
Just 2 minutes.
George Torres was zipped up in this box.
It was a suitcase.
George Torres took his last panicked breaths in this box.
Suitcase.
The medical examiner explained to us that with each breath George Torres took in, there was
Okay,
less
you can come out of the corner now.
oxygen in this
Sorry.
box. George Torres was murdered in this box.
Suitcase.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of myself, my trial partner, we thank you for your time and attention in this most important of
What's his
trials.
name?
We now have the law from the judge in this case. This is what our duty is to follow. And let's have a discussion regarding that law that we've just been read and given. The first section of note we're going to come to is called Introduction
See, none of us know what's going on. So you're fine.
to Homicide. But this being a legal document written by a bunch of lawyers who you've seen for the last 2 weeks arguing with each other, pay careful attention to ands and ors. Remember, if an and is somewhere, we're going to need both things or all the things, and if an or is there, then only one of those things we're going to need. So as we start out here on Introduction to Homicide, come to the first section on justifiable homicide. And it reads, the killing of a human being is justifiable homicide and lawful if necessarily done while resisting an attempt to murder or commit a felony upon the defendant, or to commit a felony in any dwelling house in which the defendant was at the time. Ladies and gentlemen, this section is completely inapplicable. It's inapplicable because George Torres was zipped up in that suitcase. He couldn't commit or attempt to commit a murder on anybody. He couldn't even scratch his own head while he was in that suitcase. Next, we turn to excusable homicide. Here we have several paragraphs.
Tell your dad I said hi and I love him.
It reads, the killing of a human being is excusable and therefore lawful under any one of the following three circumstances. When the killing is committed by accident and in misfortune, and doing any lawful act by lawful means, usual, ordinary caution, and without any unlawful intent. Well, the problem in this circumstance for the defendant is that she took the law into her own hands. Her testimony was that when George Torres was in here, he was laughing and giggling and they were joking. And then he started to complain that he couldn't breathe. And that's when she said that she wanted him to stay in there so he could feel uncomfortable. So he could feel her grievances. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not lawful. That is not the use of ordinary caution. And that is not applicable in this circumstance. Second, when the killing occurs by accident or misfortune in the heat of passion upon any sudden and sufficient provocation. George Torres couldn't provoke anything from his circumstance. George Torres.
And she took a video and deleted the video. And then, well, mostly she took a video and said, how does it feel? It feels shitty, don't it? I still want to know how she got him in the suitcase. What the fuck?
Was confined to this box.
I didn't watch any of it.
Next, when the killing is committed by accident and misfortune resulting from a sudden combat, a dangerous weapon is not used, and the killing is not done in a cruel and unusual manner. Well, this fails on 2 counts. There was no sudden combat. In her words, this was laughing and joking and we're all having fun when she decides that it's going to get a little extra real for George Torres. And it fails on the second count because George Torres was killed in a cruel and unusual manner. Next, we turn to our main charge of second-degree.
You know what? That sounds absolutely plausible. Yep, I bet.
And the law informs us that to prove the crime of second-degree murder, the state must prove the following 3 elements beyond a reasonable doubt. I think it's important to stop right
Hey,
here.
Red Feather,
This sentence right
how do you feel about doing the Shanda Vanderer?
here is telling us
Yeah, but he was a fucking scientist, though.
what has to be proven in order for the crime of second-degree murder to be for the defendant to be
Oh,
found guilty in this case. We've been hearing all kinds of facts for almost 2 weeks now of trial. But these are the 3 facts that had to have been met by the reasonable doubt standard in order to be found guilty. Ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you that the state has proven second-degree murder beyond all doubt. And the proof of that guilt is overwhelming. But I will cite for each element one fact that conclusively proves each of those elements beyond all doubt. As to the first fact, that George Torres is dead, well, we have a stipulation, amongst other things, that agrees to that. As to the second fact, the death was caused by Sarah Boone. Sarah Boone, in her own words, from the time that this case began on February 23rd, 2020, to when she took the witness stand a few days ago, was consistent about one statement. She zipped him up. She didn't zip him out. She zipped him up in the suitcase, and she refused to zip him out. 3, there was an unlawful killing of George Torres by an act imminently dangerous to another in demonstrating a depraved mind without regard for human life. The law goes on to define for us what a depraved mind is, and also what an act is. And it's going to tell us that an act includes any series of related actions arising from and performed pursuant to a single design or purpose. An act is
I am a cray-cray. Huh.
imminently dangerous to another in demonstrating a depraved mind if it is an act or a series of acts that 1, a person of ordinary judgment would know is reasonably certain to kill or do serious bodily harm to another, and is done from ill will, hatred, spite, or an evil intent.
Yeah, but
And
how was she gonna know he was gonna die?
is of such a nature that the act itself
Oh, Shanda? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I can't wait to watch her trial again with you guys. I'm telling you. I watched it by myself. I cannot wait to watch it with y'all.
displays a difference in human life. Ladies and gentlemen, her conduct fits every one of those things. And if there was a doubt that this was
Scintilla. That's a good fucking word.
not the actions of a depraved mind, I point to you ING 1062, and states 17. Mr. J, may you publish states 17?
No, no, I did not. Do you want to watch his trial first? They should. Well, word magic's real, and if the right people learn those words, people are fucked.
Shallow.
For everything you've done to me.
Shallow.
For everything you've done to me.
Shallow.
Fuck you.
Shallow.
Fuck you.
Shallow.
Stupid.
Shallow.
That's my name. Don't wear it out.
Shallow. I can't
He
fucking
sounds
breathe.
drunk as fuck. How is she gonna know he
Yeah,
was
that's
in
when
that?
you do me, choke me.
Shallow.
And yes, the jury will allow.
I know he had his own trial, and he agreed. Dude, what happened?
Walking out after the prosecution shows that suitcase video that was
What the hell happened? Okay, sidebar number 500. All these lawyers going up for no reason. Her suit's too big.
upset members there of George Torres's family walking out after the prosecution.
Did they literally close on the close?
It's on you.
Okay.
Shallow.
Real ransom. Now you want to give it for it extra. Because I got this.
Shallow.
Real ransom.
Shallow.
That sounds like he's faking. You know what I mean?
Shallow.
Look.
I can't breathe, babe.
Oh. That's what I feel like when you cheat on me.
Shallow.
Fuck you.
fucking breathe, Shallow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the
You
fact
probably
the
shut
fact
the
he's
fuck
a
up.
scientist. He's like a successful white man.
Ladies and gentlemen, that exhibit removes any
Doesn't prove
scintilla of
anything.
doubt about the depravity of the defendant's actions.
If you see her, point her out.
But we know from the evidence that this was not the first time she had considered
I
killing
thought that killer,
George Torres.
the guy that was killed, I thought he was like a white scientist or something. Like he was really successful. Is this the wrong case that I'm thinking of?
We know from the evidence that on January 13, 2020, approximately 1 month prior to George Torres's murder, the defendant had a text message conversation.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Please do something with yourself, Sarah. God bless you. Bless you and
The lady that fed her husband fish food, maybe,
all of you
and blamed it on Trump.
too. I'll get rid of him, then I'll be better. Torres. But ladies and gentlemen, in this case, the law actually specifically tells us that the intent to cause death is not necessary. In order to convict of second-degree murder, it is not necessary for the state to prove the defendant had an intent to cause death.
Oh, you should look that up because it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Next, we turn. I'm going to bypass the lesser included offenses because though she is guilty of those offenses as well, the law instructs us that she is to be convicted of for the highest offense in which the evidence supports, which is second-degree murder in this case. So turning our attention towards voluntary intoxication. If there was any question about the fact that Sarah imbibed alcohol,
I said that because, first off, how would she know he was gonna die being in that suitcase? And secondly, I figured it was because he was a successful white guy, because I thought they said he was a scientist. So I figured she was going to go to jail because of that. But it turns out that he's Mexican. So I don't know. I was the one who said it.
on the night that George Torres was murdered. And that maybe somehow that would excuse the conduct or be some type of defense for the conduct. Well, this tells us that that's not the case. Voluntary.
I'm sorry for bringing it up. I'm sorry for saying that. I was thinking out loud.
Intoxication resulting from the use of alcohol is not a defense to a crime. Evidence of a defendant's voluntary intoxication.
I party pooped the party. I'll sit in the chair. But I still have to stop this occasionally. So I'll talk to you from my corner and whisper.
May not be taken into consideration to show that she lacked the specific intent to commit any crime. A person is voluntarily intoxicated if he or she knowingly consumed a substance that he or she knew or should have known could cause intoxication. Voluntary intoxication is not a defense to second-degree murder, manslaughter, or culpable negligence. Ladies and gentlemen, there's ample evidence of the defendant's intoxication from watching her on the public surveillance, buying the bottles of wine with George Torres, to her admissions to drinking.
That's where I am.
To her voice that we heard on the video while she was torturing George Torres.
She was not. How would she know he was gonna die? How is she gonna know that? She don't know that. But fuck this guy.
Next, we come to defenses.
I will borrow your garbage bags. I'm gonna have to take off my wolf costume.
First,
What is it? Okay, I'll get him right now. Okay, I'll let him in. My cat
come
was
to the
still outside.
justifiable use of deadly force. It tells us it is a defense to the crimes of second-degree murder, manslaughter, and culpable negligence if the actions of Sarah Boone were justifiable use or threatened use of deadly force. Sarah Boone does not have the burden of proving that she was justified in using deadly force. Instead, for you to find Sarah Boone
She didn't even use a good defense. She didn't even use a good defense.
guilty,
Oh,
state
I didn't know she was, because he died of a heart attack. So, you know, and he did say, I can't breathe. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Okay.
must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Sarah Boone was not justified in using deadly force. The law on the justifiable use of deadly force is as follows. Sarah Boone was justified in using deadly force if she reasonably believed that such force or threat of force was necessary to prevent the imminent death or great bodily harm to herself. Sarah Boone had no duty to retreat. Ladies and gentlemen, in a few moments, Mr. Owens will rise, and he is going to show you this.
Why is he doing that? That is why. Why? This is fucking dirty and shady and no good. This is no good. I don't like this.
And this.
Who the fuck is you? Ooh, I don't like this.
And this. And he's going to talk in this as well.
Ricky, Michael, it's like, no, nobody even does that kind of shit except for you. to pedophiles. I just happened to say something that is true. Like well-to-do guys, if you kill one of them, it's serious trouble. I thought this guy was a scientist, but it turns out that was another case, is why I said that. And you know as well as I do, I say fucked up shit as well.
About the list of grievances that Sarah Boone had for George Torres. He's going to talk to you about curtain rods.
Who the fuck is you?
He's going to talk to you about black eyes. He's going to talk to you
Yeah,
about
but that's
what
personal
an
shit
awful,
that'll
awful
offend people.
boyfriend
Just like
George
that one
Torres
time.
was.
Stop it.
And ladies and gentlemen, at the end of all of that,
No, you have no
It
idea
still will
about
not
working
change
when
the
it comes
fact
to chomos.
that
You literally scared
the
them out of
defendant
my
is
chat.
not entitled to the justifiable use of deadly force. Because as we continue
And
to
you are
read,
acting like a
this
troll, and
instruction.
he knows it.
it tells us, in deciding whether Sarah Boone was justified in using the use of deadly force, you must consider the circumstances at the time the force or the threat of force was used. Danger need not have been actual. However, to justify the use of deadly force, the appearance of
Feather, don't, don't dare, Michael.
imminent danger must
Well, you know him as Ricky.
have been so real that Sarah Boone actually believed that deadly force was necessary. Moreover, to justify the use of deadly force,
I know, Michael.
and this is important,
No,
reasonably
Michael
cautious
is
and
right. I
prudent
should have
person
never said that.
under the same circumstances,
I should have never said that.
would have believed the use
I got
of deadly
problems.
force was necessary. Ladies and gentlemen, no reasonably prudent and cautious person would believe that a man who could barely fit into this box, who was
Suitcase.
incapable of movement,
Suitcase.
who was begging for his life, who
Kinda.
was slowly asphyxiating, suffocating with each breath, would have needed to use deadly force against him. The justifiable use of deadly
She
force
should have given him
utterly
the
fails,
people's
utterly
elbow.
crashes like a house of
Give him the people's elbow.
cards. But there's more.
I love you, Michael.
However, the use of deadly force is not justified if you find that Sarah Boone used force to initially provoke threatened use of force against herself. Let's stop there before we consider the next two paragraphs. Some of the most critical testimony in this trial is her testimony on the stand. It was a great day. We were doing puzzles and artwork, dancing with the dogs, listening to music. Tag, you're it, hide and go seek time. George gets into the suitcase.
Like an
She comes and
idiot.
zips him up.
Like an
They were
idiot.
still laughing about it. We're still laughing after he's zipped up in the suitcase. And then that's when George had the temerity to ask, George Torres had the temerity to ask to be unzipped from the suitcase. And that's when Sarah Boone decided he needed to suffer.
Maybe he did.
She was the initial aggressor, ladies and gentlemen. She
Maybe he
provoked
did.
the use of force in this case. In her own words, we were laughing and playing right before he wanted to be let out because he couldn't breathe.
Maybe he deserved it.
Paragraph 1. The threat of force asserted toward the defendant was so great that she reasonably believed that she was in imminent danger
Shit.
of death
What?
or great bodily harm and had
I already said, Willie Nelson was sewed in his sheets and beat with a frying pan when she got a minute to get him.
exhausted every reasonable means to escape the danger other than using deadly force on George Torres. He couldn't exert anything, ladies and gentlemen. George Torres couldn't even exert his arm out of the suitcase. How on earth could he have
I figured you were
exerted
on
a force
time,
so great to justify his... Judge, I object.
Approach.
What? Sidebar 600.
An objection from the defense attorney there as the prosecution
Oh my
delivered its
God.
closing argument.
You're doing
I would imagine
so.
it was about the
No.
Mr. Connell, the family to that.
No help to the defendant. This
Objection overruled.
is no help to the defendant.
Give him a rock's elbow.
Second paragraph.
Stone cold stunner.
In good
from
faith,
the-
Sarah Boone withdrew from physical contact with George Torres and clearly indicated to George Torres that she wanted to withdraw and stop the use of deadly force. But George Torres continued or resumed threatened use of deadly force. Ladies and gentlemen, George Torres
Yeah.
never got a chance to
stupid
do
ass
anything.
fuck. Yeah.
George Torres never was able to mount any aggression.
She didn't
Towards the
want to plead
defendant.
guilty.
Therefore,
Which
this
is stupid.
paragraph is inapplicable. And the law tells us as well, physical contact in this case includes any restraint on George Torres's movements. The law also tells us, again, you find that
Yeah,
Sarah Boone,
that's
because
right.
of prior threats or difficulties
Because
to
she-
George Torres, had reasonable grounds to believe that she was in danger of great bodily harm, of death or great bodily harm at the hands of George Torres. You may consider this fact in determining whether the actions of Sarah Boone were reasonable. Now, we're going to get to battered spouse syndrome in a moment. But again,
Oh my God,
I submit
shut
to you,
up.
this will be the opportunity for the defense to air grievances in regards to George Torres. But again, those grievances
Who cares
will not change
about
the
what the
law,
defense is doing?
and they will
What
not
is the
change the fact
prosecution doing?
the justifiable use of deadly force.
Who cares what the defense is doing? What is the prosecution doing? This is stupid. And this guy needs to shut up. He's using hours to say nothing. How long till he is fucking done? Oh my God. Oh my God. No way. 30 more minutes of this shit.
Fails as a defense for the defendant. If you find that at the time of the alleged second-degree murder, manslaughter, culpable negligence, Sarah Boone knew that George Torres had committed an act or acts of violence, you may consider that fact in determining whether Sarah Boone reasonably believed it was necessary for her to use deadly force. Considering the issue of deadly force, you may take into account the relative physical abilities and capacities of Sarah Boone and George Torres. Now we come to the special instruction on battered spouse.
That's what I said about your mom.
You have heard evidence that Sarah Boone suffers.
I call my dad every day my dad calls me every day to take my pills because I accidentally overdosed on them one time and landed in the hospital for a couple days because it made me uber dehydrated and shit. It was some bleh. So my dad calls me every night at 9 o'clock to make sure he took my pills at the right time.
From battered spouse syndrome. If you find Sarah Boone suffered from battered spouse syndrome credible, you may consider this evidence to assist you in determining whether, in Sarah Boone's circumstances, would reasonably believe that such force was necessary to defend herself against the imminent use of unlawful force by George Torres. Like other witnesses, you may believe or disbelieve all or any part of the testimony in regards to battered spouse. Ladies and gentlemen, we've heard from 3 experts
You're right.
in the areas.
You're absolutely right. I never think about that. I am so sorry. Yeah. Oh my God, we're so smart. We're geniuses.
Battered spouse in this case. And I think at the outset, it's important to note what battered spouse is and isn't and what the law instructs us here. Battered spouse is not some carte blanche. Battered spouse is not a license to kill. The fact that George Torres at points mistreated Sarah Boone, did things that were worthy enough to get him arrested, to get restraining orders placed upon him, doesn't mean that she walks around with an ace in her pocket when it comes to George Torres. It doesn't mean that because he did these awful bad things, that now, through the rest of time, she's a battered spouse and she just has the right to kill him or to make him suffer.
I don't, man. You know how hard it is to leave someone who abuses you, or how hard it is for someone to abuse you to stay away? It's very difficult. You're lucky if you'll be able to move.
Or to punish him, or to make him feel uncomfortable, or decide that he needs to be confined to a box. No. What the battered spouse syndrome instruction does, it talks about the imminency of fear.
And when we heard about that testimony, we heard about it from Dr. Harper, and we heard about it from Dr. Brannon for the defense. And some of the testimony was a little difficult to understand at points, but there was one point in Dr. Brannon's testimony that was very critical.
And grandson.
Dr. Brannon talked about rule-outs. He talked about the fact that when emotions and emotional reactions are involved, like trauma and trauma-based disorders, other possibilities have to be ruled out before we can even ascribe those actions.
And a good cousin, by the way. The only reason he's in here is to help my channel. And I appreciate that.
To battered spouse syndrome. Other possibilities, according to Dr. Brannon, include alcohol abuse. Dr. Harper should have listened to Dr. Brannon's testimony because Dr. Brannon completely undercut Dr. Harper's testimony. Dr. Harper relied heavily on the words of the defendant, who was abusing alcohol at the time of these events. And then you heard from the expert for the state, Tanya Warner. In her opinion, was much more straightforward. Remember, Dr. Brannon did not render an opinion as to whether or not she suffered from battered spouse. Dr. Warner said affirmatively, yes, I believe she did suffer from battered spouse syndrome. But she also applied what Dr. Brannon was talking about. Other possibilities have to be ruled out as the trigger for a behavior, for an event. So, in Dr. Warner's estimation, the fact that at the time of this incident, they were laughing and joking and carrying on meant that the trigger was not domestic violence or some threat. And the
See what I'm saying? Like, it's so... Man, it's so difficult.
defendant's own words, the trigger was him wanting to get out and her being reminded of the bad things that he had done to her. That's not imminence of fear. That's reminder.
That's exactly what that is. That is exactly what that is. You see what? Word magic is fucking real. If you tell these motherfuckers anything, they will use it against you. This was the wrong defense. She is a motherfucking idiot.
Of bad things a person has done. And again, even if you were to believe that she was battered spouse triggered at the time of this event, it still does not save the day. Because all the battered spouse trigger law tells us is that it goes to that imminency requirement. It doesn't say there's no imminency requirement. It doesn't say that, look, if you're suffering from battered
That is fucking stupid.
spouse and you're triggered by battered spouse, then, hey, if there's no more imminency requirement, do as you wish. It just gives the ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
I hate when dogs and kids get caught up in this shit. Oh my God. I hate it.
Another thing to consider in determining whether or not that threat was imminent. And we know from the evidence, we know from the videos, there was absolutely no threat. And we know there was
And she would rather do life in jail than take care of her dogs.
no threat because George Torres never got out of that box. He was never got out of that box until sometime on the early afternoon of February 24th.
Suitcase.
Mr. J, can you please publish from stage 21?
Y'all are Y'all are different kind of people. Y'all are different kind of people. You can't compare yourself to other people because you're not like this, you know? And that bitch was a psycho, and she was like all these other girls. You're just not like these other guys. Is this sidebar 650?
She's a good woman. For being in trouble in her life, she has a 7-year-old son that she loves and cherishes.
A blind Boston Terrier.
She has 2 dogs. One is blind, one is deaf. She goes around and she's driving and sees an animal that's injured. She'll stop in the middle of the street, no matter what kind of traffic it is, just to make sure that that animal doesn't get injured any more than where it already has. We both love each other. We both live together. Yes, every relationship.
That is abuser. And then she gets super emotional and breaks shit, right? And then you don't let her cry, and you don't cry, and you just walk away, right? And then she follows you screaming. And then you get mad as shit, and you get angry, and then you go somewhere and slam a door, right?
Relationship has their arguments, but we are not the type of people that you guys are portraying us to be.
She,
Especially her. So please, if you can,
dismiss
this case.
Closed.
Drop it. She is not the type of person.
Good.
Feather, exactly. Exactly. But she would have had to do it and like right after an argument.
Person.
She's a great person.
Angel.
I know she'd be an angel. She's
I'm totally like that. And Dustin's totally like that. And we both get totally like that. And we literally have to force ourselves to go in different rooms, both of us.
close to her.
Best thing that has ever happened to you.
Yes, ma'am. And I love you to death. And I hate that we're going through this.
Sonnet.
What?
And it did.
Good, I love you. Whatever you want me to say. God will prevail, and He will take us out of this situation. Love you.
Clearly, George Torres is dominating the defendant. Clearly, George Torres is the one telling the defendant what to do. Clearly, George Torres is the one calling the shots at 4748 France Lane. Ladies and gentlemen, are we so sure that George Torres wasn't the person suffering from battered spouse syndrome? Next, we're going to come to the justifiable use of non-deadly force. The language of the arguments are pretty close to what we've already heard in the deadly force instruction, including the key language that it requires a reasonably cautious and prudent person under the same circumstances would have believed.
Me and Dustin, we've been together 20 years. I took a 8-year sabbatical, but we've been together since I was 18 years old. So we know each other. We know each other pretty well.
believed the use of non-deadly force was necessary. Ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you that this was not a case of non-deadly force. George Torres lost his life as a result of these actions. We have heard the testimony of Dr. Sarah Zadovich, who described his cause and manner of death, who described the mechanism of death.
No, breathing is a real problem. See, I got this hole in my neck. I don't know if you can see it, but things get stuck in there like air. So breathing is a real problem sometimes. And I smoke weed and cigarettes, and I got a giant hole in my neck.
How that oxygen dissipated in that suitcase. And when we also look at the imminency, we heard in opening statements by Mr. Owens that, the big threat in this case, the awful threat, was in the magic 9 minutes between the video at 11:12 that she took, torturing George Torres, and her follow-up video at 11:23, after she had moved the suitcase. Mr. J, that you published from States 17, IMG 1063.
Sir,
Why is he showing that video again?
It was a short video. But what's one of the things that we notice by this point? You can hear how loud George's voice is on the 11:12 video. But now, roughly 11 minutes later,
What is that? Biodome, maybe?
from the time that started, you see
Oh, the
that the
biodome.
makeshift coffin that he's in has been moved. And his voice now is softer. The life is draining from George Torres, and it's evident in that video. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is evidence that there was no threat in the magic 9 minutes.
No. Weed'll give them another reason to do homicide. Just like fucking porn. They just blame porn. Like, Christians give them money, and then Christians tell them what they hate, and they're like, oh yeah, porn. Porn made me a psychopathic killer. Sure. Why not? Porn would be amazing. Oh, I've only seen that movie one time. And Pulp Fiction. I only seen Pulp Fiction one time too.
That was not recorded. There was only
Indica.
George Torres.
Indica is the heroin of weed. Sativa is the cocaine of weed. I tell my dad that.
In this box, slowly,
Suitcase. It's not a box. It's a suitcase.
being killed.
I'm sorry, but you can get that motherfucker open from the inside with your fingernail. literally with your fingernail. It is not a problem. What the fuck are they talking about? He can't get it open. Yes, the fuck you can. Literally with your finger. This is bullshit. This is silly bullshit. She should have took the plea deal at the beginning, because literally you can get that undone with your fingernail. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sarah Boone is an idiot. She's dumb, but so is that guy she married, because you can get that open with a fingernail. Yes, you can. Just like you can get them open from the outside without a pulley thing with your finger. It's really easy. Hell no, my fat ass couldn't fit in a suitcase. Fuck no. I just know zippers. You know, I know zippers. I've been zipping shit my whole life. And you probably could too with no problem. Give it a try. You know? I just cut shit open and try shit. I just do shit. So, I don't know. But you could get that open, no problem. Yeah, if they're zipped all the way, you gotta fucking pick it like that. And then you stick your finger through and push it down. It's real easy. But I'm a criminal. Don't crime.
Next, we come to weighing the evidence.
I didn't grow up on a zipper farm. I'm just really good at criming things. Yeah, I am really good at criming things, especially from Walmart. Yeah.
This instruction tells us it is up to you to decide.
Okay. With that, you got me, because I don't have an answer for that. You got me there. You got me there. Yeah. You got me on that one. You got me on that one. Oh yeah, but as a kid you don't know shit. I just you don't know shit. And yeah. You can also zip yourself up on one of those things. Yeah. It'd take a long time, because you'd have to like you couldn't do it fast. You'd have to do it slow. And my accent is because I was abducted by aliens. So I was abducted by aliens and taken to a zipper farm. You know what? I live out of a duffel bag and I have a house. I totally get it. But listen, there's new people watching. Please chat and chat. We will fucking communicate with you, man. Don't be shy. Come into chat. There's 5 of you watching, so at least 3 of you are not in chat. So come and get in chat. Dude,
What evidence is reliable?
grocery bags, duffel bags, trash bags, baggy bags, bags, bags in bags, bags of bags. Look, bags are life. Hey, Mr. Spoons is my grandpa. Hey, Mr. Spoons is my grandfather. Yep, sure is. Yeah. Share the link. Yep. It don't matter if you grew up in Cincinnati, that's your fucking uncle, dude. That's my grandfather. People in Australia love him. As soon as I told people from Australia Mr. Spoons was my grandfather, they about flipped McNuggets. They were like, my grandma went and seen him. It's like, I bet she did. My grandma humped him. Yes. Yes, I have them too. Yep. Yep. Your grandma has a video. She might, I don't know. But Mr. Spoons in that video says, I go up to the biggest man in the place and start playing spoons on him. And Dustin goes, oh, yeah, Nikki, that's your grandfather for sure. I said, why? He said, because he picks the biggest man there, makes him laugh. He's like, you only do that. And it's like, because, you know, if you make a big guy laugh, he makes everybody laugh. So, you know, have a good time. Have a good time. Oh, you should hear of him. He's a great guy. Well, actually, I don't know if he's a great guy. I never met him. But Dustin says I definitely act like that. But I love big men, man. Big men are my favorite. I mean, like wrestling men. Oh, God. I love wrestling more than life. I do. Okay. We're going to finish this. Dude, Rayovac batteries, those used to be life, remember? And now they're fucking shit. I don't even think I've seen a Rayovac battery in a hot second. Okay, let's finish watching this.
You should use your common sense in deciding which is the best evidence and which evidence should not be relied upon in considering your verdict. You may find
My Uncle Danny played for the psychopathic rock band, the ICP rock band Zug Island. He played the keyboards for that band. My grandmother and Aunt Nolly used to be gospel singers.
some of the evidence not reliable or less reliable than other evidence.
Oh yeah, and he did do that walk. Only some of them. Only some of them. And I don't even like some of the famous ones. Those guys are not too sexy. Like, I hate Triple H. Oh my God. I'm not a big fan of Randy Orton. I think he looks like a baby, and I wouldn't be able to have sex with him seriously. Like, it'd be some shit. I hate CM Punk, but The Undertaker, I would hit him with the lights on for sure all day.
You should consider how the witness acted as well as what they said. Some things you should consider.
Kane also can get it with the lights on.
Did the witness have an opportunity to see and know the things about which the witness testified?
I've been watching old wrestling for fucking weeks now. And I'm just now at 2004 wrestling. Like, dude, I fucking love wrestling. Lex Luger just got inducted in the Hall of Fame. Triple H just got inducted in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, I know, but man, I would turn the lights on. Red feather, that's out of control. What about Roman Reigns? Look, this is almost over. I'm being my own troll right now.
Focusing on the defendant? Absolutely. Two people walked through the front door on the evening of February 23rd, 2020 at 4748 France Court. George Torres and Sarah Boone. But only Sarah Boone ever walked out of that front door alive. Did the witness seem to have an accurate memory? This is an emphatic no. And the litany of her intoxication in versions of events is evidence of that. Was the witness honest and straightforward in answering the attorney's questions? I would submit to you she wasn't. 4, did the witness have some interest in how the case should be decided? Clearly. Does the witness's testimony agree with the other testimony and other evidence in the case? And I would say,
How'd you get a selfie with John Cena? That would be highly interesting.
largely no. Because on the issue of whether or not George Torres could have threatened her the way she says that he did, the answer is clearly no, and we know that from the forensic data. We know that from the items itself. Did the witness, at some other time, make a statement that is inconsistent with the testimony he or she gave in court? In regards to the defendant, it's almost more appropriate to ask about the time she did make a consistent statement. You listen to her version of events on the 911 call, on the body cameras, on her first interviews with law enforcement, and then you hear her in her next interview the next day with Detective Kopsel and Detective Lowen, and more details come out. Things change. First, she was never intoxicated, then she was intoxicated. Then there's just the whole fact of she omits the fact of, oh yeah, he was actually trying to attack me. Oh yeah, I was in fear for my life. When she said at every turn, no, it was just a great day. We were having fun. Oh my God, I can't believe this. We were doing good. The only stress we had was about jobs. And now, 4.5 years after the fact, it's time.
Yeah, that part. Why would she? I don't know. I don't know. She should have waited until there was a day of shit. Although he probably wouldn't have done it if it was a day of shit. If I was her, I would have did what the chick to Willie Nelson did.
Trying to come up with a new story. But ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you that the truth does not change. The facts do not change. The videos do not change. And on any version of events that the defendant has given, they all add up to the fact that there is absolutely no doubt that she is guilty of murder.
Yeah, I
I ask you,
don't.
ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen, do you have any doubt
Jesus.
about the defendant's guilt when she described using that baseball bat to hit George Torres's fingers back in the suitcase when he attempted to save his life?
See, I told you you could get yourself out of there with your fingernails. Yup. Sure did.
Do you have any doubt when she is given how many versions of events in this case? Do you have any doubt after hearing the testimony of her neighbors about how
That's so
Crash
funny.
and arguing that
I
night?
can't believe you're doing that.
Do you have any
Tucker.
doubt after hearing the testimony
I
of
want to
Dr.
see
Sarah
it if you
Sigovich?
do it.
Do you have any doubt after watching the videos of George Torres being murdered and her laughing about it and talking about the fact that he cheated on her? Do you have any doubt
Oh.
after reading the text messages?
Damn it. This gets more fucked up by the second. Oh my god. Wow. Oh my god. Oh my god. That's so bug. Oh, I'm feeling so early 90s.
From her phone. After seeing the videos of how she controlled and manipulated George Torres. And if you say, Mr. Cacciatore, I still have a doubt. Well, then the law asks you, is that doubt to an element? And is that doubt a mere possible doubt, a speculative, an imaginary, or a forced doubt? I submit to you the idea that she had to do this because she was a battered spouse is an imaginary doubt. It's a doubt born from the imagination of Sarah Boone. It is not a reasonable doubt. But if you find yourself back in that deliberation room, and you are just trying to think of some way in which the defendant is not guilty, just searching, struggling for that way, that also is not a reasonable doubt, ladies and gentlemen. That is a forced doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm confident that when you read the entirety of those jury instructions and apply the law to the facts that came out in this case, that you are going to come back with the only lawful verdict, which is guilty as charged, second-degree murder. Thank you.
Wow. Second degree murder. So that's not, I don't know, that, hold on, where am I at? Waiting on the string being okay. I don't know what's I don't know what's happening. Okay. Now I know what's happening. Okay. So did you guys have fun? Did you? 25 to life for second degree. Son of a bitch. She is pissed that judge off. He is. She's wrote him so many letters. I've heard about him. So let's hope that judge is not pissed off, right? Dark triad person. What the hell does that mean? You don't know what's happening. Oh, well, let's watch her sentencing real quick. Do you want to watch her sentencing? I mean, we're already in it. See? See right there, you're just saying shit, word magic, trying to sound smart. Do you want to watch it? Sarah Boo's sentencing trial. What? Sarah Boo. Oh my God. She was sentenced to life. See? Okay. Wait. What? What is happening? Okay. What is everybody saying? I don't know what you're saying. Okay. Well, good. She got sentenced to life, is what it said. All right. Well, I love you guys so much, and I have no problem covering it. Tomorrow we'll do Shondavindark because it's going to be so great, and I can't wait to watch it. See, Ricky quit it. Nobody even knows what that means. Me thinks I am intelligent. Me thinks you are intelligent. Something to do with someone is intelligent. Good times indeed. I love you. Give your pillows some head and your sheets some ass. And have the sweetest dreams ever. Which one was it, Ricky? Table for another day. Okay. No, table to Shanda. No, we can't. Nolly, give your pillow some head and a sheet, some ass, and sweet dreams, my love. Everybody did send you a lot of love. I hope it wasn't, I'm just glad that they loved you and stuff. Okay, it was something about I'm intelligent. That's cool. Well, I kind of understood it. Oh, what am I doing? All right. Anyways, Miss Muddy, Good night. Jasmine, good night. Teddy Bear, Firefly, everybody, good night. I love you so much. It's okay. It's okay, Nolly. You guys go eat dinner. I am going to end the stream in 3, 2, 1. Peace out. I love